I'm going to start with a story. It's not entirely my story, but a summary of many shared with me. But most importantly, it's a story I'm sure many people in this room can relate to. It's your first day at university. You're so excited. You move to a new city, to a new flat. You meet your course mates, your flatmates. You join a society, perhaps a sport you've always wanted to try, or an academic society. You decide you're going to go on a night out with your new friends. You get ready and head into town. You're dancing, having an amazing time. Then something happens. You decide to not make a big deal out of it, to just head home and tell your friends you're tired. A few months later, you've got deadlines, so you're studying late at the library. Things are going well, but you decide to head home for some dinner and an episode of your current favorite TV show. You're walking down the street, listening to music, then something happens. At first, you're unsure, so you pause the music. But then you understand. Now it's summer. The weather is nice, it's a hot day, you're having a great time, and you pose for a photo. Later, you post it on social media, tag your friends, and come up with a perfect caption. Then something happens. Later, when asked by a friend, you say you just didn't like the way your hair looked. Over the next 3 years, these incidents keep happening. Unwanted attention that leaves you feeling uncomfortable, shocked, and at times violated. At first, you move on, tell yourself they're isolated incidents, the behavior of a few bad people. But over time, it affects you and your behavior. You stop going out in the evenings with your friends because you're scared to travel home alone afterwards. You add 20 minutes to your commute to avoid a certain place. You stop attending lectures to avoid seeing someone. Public sexual harassment is defined as any sexual advances and intimidating behavior that occurs in public spaces, both in person and online. It includes being verbally abused or shouted at in the street, being followed, receiving obscene gestures, or being touched by a stranger. Public sexual harassment can be experienced by anyone, but it is often targeted towards women and girls, as well as those from marginalized groups within society, such as trans and non-binary people. Not everybody experiences it the same, as it is often committed on multiple grounds, from race to disability to sexuality. And it's shocking how widespread of an issue it is. Research shows 84% of students have faced some form of public sexual harassment during their time at university. 77% of respondents said they felt unsafe at clubs and bars, and over 50% avoid going out over fear of being publicly sexually harassed or sexually assaulted. All this to say, it seriously impacts students' engagement with their communities and their studies. It also has severely detrimental effects on victims' mental health and well-being. In the moment, it can invoke feelings of fear and anger, and in the longer term, it can lead to anxiety and depression. We deserve to study, learn, and live in a city in peace, without fear of what might happen. Our Streets Now, a grassroots movement dedicated to ending public sexual harassment in the UK through cultural and legislative change. In February 2021, they launched Our Streets Now Higher Education, a campaign to raise awareness of the prevalence of public sexual harassment on higher education students and to demand action from institutions. Additionally, following tiresome work from many volunteers at Our Streets Now and work from Plan International UK, In 2022, the government conducted a consultation into public sexual harassment in the UK, with the Home Office concluding that a specific law criminalising these behaviours should be introduced to reflect the real impact it has on people's lives. Public sexual harassment is carried out because of gender discrimination, power dynamics, and the objectification of women and girls. Many perpetrators are divorced from their actions, meaning they do not have to bear the consequences of their actions. I believe this is in part because those who catcall or wolf whistle people in the street, touch people inappropriately on the bus or at a gig, and send inappropriate messages over text or social media are themselves not part of communities in which women feel they can share their story and experiences. Just as public sexual harassment can lead to disengagement from communities, it is men's disconnection from women within theirs that leads to it. This means that whilst important, the criminalisation of public sexual harassment alone will not lead to change. There are many crimes in the UK that people commit on a near daily basis. I'm sure everyone can at least think of one. Public sexual harassment of women and girls will only end when women and girls are listened to, actually listened to. When there is a recognition by everyone within our society of the true impact these behaviours have on people, and the fact that they are a form of violence against women. If perpetrators had to listen to their daughters, wives, sisters, share stories which left them feeling uncomfortable and violated, how quickly would they react? But why does it need to be personal to matter? Women and girls shouldn't have to be someone's to matter. We matter and deserve to feel safe in our streets. Despite everything said today, I am hopeful, unbelievably hopeful, and I will share a story as to why. A few weeks ago, I was in a small rural village with my friend. It was the evening, and we were walking to the pub. 4 men walked past us. I'm sure many people in this room can imagine how we felt, the very slight anxiety caused by their presence. As we walked past, one of them shouted at us. But for the first time in my life, something happened. His friends called him out, asked him why on earth he'd done that, what he'd gained from that behaviour. Now, I could have been upset by this, but I wasn't. The fact that his friends did the difficult work and called him out outweighed it all for me. Here lies the solution. Criminalisation of public sexual harassment won't tackle the issue. It's taking it away from the community who perpetrate it and from those who fall victim to it. These behaviours need to become socially unacceptable within our society, in recognition with the impact it has on women and girls. The solution lies in difficult conversations. Telling your granddad, "You probably shouldn't say that. Have you thought how it might make them feel?" Kicking up a fuss with the bouncers in the club when something unacceptable happens, demanding they get kicked out. Going out into the world, trying to have an impact, is overwhelming and near impossible when done alone. But where we do have impact is near to home, in the lives of those around us. No, we don't have to be someone's to matter, but it makes it damn harder to ignore when we do share our stories. So, to end, I'm going to ask 3 things of people. The first, to victims of public sexual harassment. Please keep sharing your stories. I know it's hard, I know it's painful, but please keep sharing. And share as wide as you can. Change can only happen when difficult conversations are had. Second, to those who witness public sexual harassment, whether by a friend, a colleague, or a stranger. Call them out. Simply, as those boys did, ask them why they did that, what they gained from that behaviour. It's only through challenging norms that will lead to change within our society. And finally, to anyone in this room who might feel tempted to harass, follow, or assault someone, just don't. Your behaviours have consequences, serious consequences, no matter the meaning behind them. If you wouldn't want to sit through someone in your life share their experiences, then don't do it yourself. So there isn't a next. So I'm going to start with a story.